My name is Aristoteles Georgios Sakellariou, but because it's quite long, people call me Aristo, and I'm the head of the conservation department for the Museum of Islamic Art here in Doha. To be a conservator, you need to understand the material aspects of the object. So you have to understand what has it been made of, how it was made of, and what happened to it. So if you can solve these three questions, you can start being a conservator. When an object arrives in our museum, normally it goes to a quarantine room that we are examining it, and we write an assessment about its physical condition, that there has been no damage or this is how it arrived to us. We find it with employing science, different kind of tests, identification. If we find that it is fine, then it goes either to the exhibition or to the conservation department. However, many times we find out that there might be some insect infestation, for example, or clues of insects. Or we might find that this object has something to worry about. In that case, we continue having it in the quarantine until we are sure that it will not affect the other objects. The first step is to know what story the curator wants to say in the gallery. And the second step is once the curator decides on the story, then he or she decides on the object list, and then this object list comes to us. What we have to do is to make sure that the objects are ready to be exhibited, not only aesthetically, but also their mount or where they're going to be placed or the way they're going to be placed. And the final step is once these objects are placed into the exhibition, we have to make sure that the conditions, the light, the temperature, the humidity are correct for their long-term preservation. The upper laboratory is dedicated into small portable objects, metals and jewelry, wood and stone, and polychromy, which means when we decorate it with pigments or with colors. Ceramics and glass, paper, manuscripts, books. It's a very large section in terms of number of objects and of size. And this is due to the fact that in Islamic art, calligraphy is one of the major forms of expression. The textile conservation takes place at the lower part of the conservation laboratory, which is the biggest one. We have carpets which are several meters long. Normally, when our visitors come to the museum and see objects behind glass, they don't realize how much of a process these objects have been through in order to arrive to this glass. Coming to the conservation laboratories is a very important part of it. First of all, to be assessed, to be recorded, to see their exact physical condition, and then to see, do we need to do something to present it better to the public? Do we need to do something to preserve it better for the next generations? These are decisions that we take with other departments, such as the curators, for example. The fascinating thing about the relation we have with the objects is that the object is speaking by itself. It's giving us information which we're not going to find in books. The relaunch in this museum has been the big thing for the past 3 years, I would say. It's the core of our activities. Whatever we do, whatever we study, whatever we find out, it's always relating to this relaunch. It's because what we learn about our objects, we want our public to know about.